Personalizing things is great, especially when it comes to spots you actually share your art. Think personal website, toy house, or maybe a place like ARTFIGHT. In this video, I'll be taking you along with me on what I learned about for making a seamless pattern on Procreate. If you don't use or have access to this application, you can still follow along and adapt the general principles for whatever you use. Let's get started. Alright, so our first step is creating a new canvas. It's going to need to be a square ratio, and in my case, I'm going to be using 4000 by 4000. Go ahead and keep the DPI at 300 as well. Once you have your canvas in place, go ahead and use this time to either sketch your design or import drawings you already have. When it comes to what I did, I had this sketched out in advance, and then I illustrated all of the drawings separately on a different canvas. Here you can see me importing all of my little drawings. You do not need this many. It's just up to personal preference and what you're feeling. Once you have all of your artworks placed, go ahead and hide everything and work one at a time just to keep things clear. A little tip, you can always scale artworks down, though you're going to get a loss of quality if you scale anything up. In addition to that, you can do little tricks like flipping something horizontally or vertically for a little bit of variation without having to draw something completely new. Once you finish placing all of your drawings, you're going to want to create a new layer and fill it in with a solid color of your choice. After this, go ahead and select all of your layers, including the background, and group it. As you can see on screen too, I have some bonus artworks that I'll be using later on, if you're wondering what that is. Once you have your group, go ahead and duplicate it once. For the original group, you can lock it and then hide it. The purpose of this is to make sure you have something to fall back on if you end up messing up anywhere along the way. For the visible group, we're going to be setting it up just as we want it. If you plan on keeping all of your layers separate, it's a really good idea to name your layers. This will come in handy later on. In my case, I wanted to have a consistent outline around all of them. To do this, I merged all of my layers together and duplicated it once. I maxed out the brightness so it's completely white and moved that below the colored layer. After that, I went to the magic wand tool, went to Gaussian blur, and then clicked and dragged until I could see a good outline around the art. Next, I went to the transform button and clicked on automatic. From here, I clicked and dragged until there was a good-sized outline around each of the drawings. After this, I clicked on invert and then changed my brush color to white. I then changed my brush to something large that I could fill in this selected space. At this point, my group had 3 layers: my colored one, the outline, and the background. I ended up merging my colored and outlined layer together because I knew I had some backup ones just in case. Once you finish setting up your group to how you want it, go ahead and duplicate it 4 more times, locking the original and hiding it. I'm not completely consistent with this, though you can always go back and rename previous groups to keep things nice and organized for yourself. Okay. We're going to be offsetting each of these groups next. To do this, go ahead and select the first group and make sure that snapping and magnetics is turned on. Once you've checked this, you're going to want to drag this group into one of the corners. The most important part of this is making sure you can see the 2 intersecting orange lines. If you're struggling with the placement, you can always zoom in a little bit more and try from there. After you've completed the first one, you're going to want to repeat this again for the rest of the groups, placing them in each corner of the canvas. Our next step is merging layers again by type. For me, I only had the artworks and the background to group up, though if you've kept all your layers separate, you're going to want to merge by each category for those. This is a good point to do some tidying up if you have any groups with no artworks, for example. So this is what we have so far. If you want to change anything that's on the edge, you're going to need to go all the way back to when nothing was cropped off. Otherwise, you're welcome to modify anything that's in the center. This can be rearranging things slightly or adding in new artwork. Once you finish making your adjustments, go ahead and make sure everything's grouped together again and then duplicate it 4 more times. You're going to want to lock the original and hide it, just in case you need to go back to this step. Once you've done that, go ahead and select all 4 of the new groups, and then scale it down to one of the quadrants of this canvas. When you do this, you're still going to be keeping an eye out for those 2 orange lines. The next step is selecting each group one at a time and dragging them to each of the corners again. If you've been precise as following those orange guidelines, it should be a repeating pattern. We're going to keep on going a little longer just so we can scale these down a little bit further. Do one more merge for the background layers as well as the artworks. At this point, you're going to want to duplicate this group 4 more times, locking and hiding the original again. Select all 4 of the new groups and scale it down again to one of the quadrants of the canvas. Select each group one at a time and drag them to the corners of the canvas. You can keep on repeating this process if you really want some tiny artwork, though I think you get the idea. I'm going to be making a new group with all of the artworks together in one layer and the background in another. At this point, you can make any final adjustments you'd like. I ended up changing the background to a soft pink color and then making a clipping layer on top of the artwork with that same shade of pink. Here's something else you can do if you like the final look of your pattern. You can export and import it into a new canvas where it's just a single layer. From here, you can scale it down to a single quadrant of the canvas and duplicate it 3 more times. There you have a simple way of expanding upon it without being so mindful with all of the layer management. Thanks for watching till the end. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe and comment and do all those cool things because it's awesome. See you next time.